a new DOJ official atop of a powerful arm of the justice system, as his former colleague helped the president's son fend off a criminal probe. Did anyone say appearance of impropriety, conflict of interest? Anyway, so Hunter Biden, by the way, why do I suspect this is not an accident?
I wonder how much.
And imagine if Donald Trump did any of this. I mean, you know, what would they say, what would they do if it was Donald Trump? That standard is never going to end. Anyway, I do have some election news. I've been saying for all of you out there that keep asking me, well, what can I do, what can I do, what can I do? And I've been saying, well, at the first level, you know, we've got to start with fixing and making sure and ensuring that we we fix and solve any issues that could raise questions about the integrity or prevent people from having confidence in election results. You know, if you go back to 2000, I think this is a fair statement. I don't think and this is sad, and this was what Florida got fixed thanks to Ron DeSantis, because they also screwed up not only in 2000, but 2016 in Florida. We remember that show down there. But this time they had put the proper changes and checks and balances in place, went along smoothly. And, you know, but are we ever really going to know the exact accurate vote count in 2000? I don't think anybody can tell us with any real confidence this is the exact vote. Now, we're the United States of America. Maybe you're never ever going to have 100% purity on this, but I mean, at least get to the level we have confidence. Because I don't think anybody can ever just look at 2000 and say there's 527 votes in Florida with any sense of complete accuracy. It just became what it became. Simple, hanging, swinging, perforated shafts, remember? Well, okay, so we now know that every state had these statutory requirements that partisan observers could observe the vote count. That didn't happen in any state. And remember that a lot of these last-minute changes were made because of COVID-19, ignoring the advice of the great Dr. Anthony Fauci, which was that, well, people can safely vote in person with social distancing and masking. All right, so it was possible to do it, but one time nobody wanted to quote their favorite doctor, who's, I'm sure, a nice guy, but got a lot wrong, and I'm not even blaming him. So anyway, now we have some developments in this in Georgia. Remember, the big issues down there was the issue of signature verification and voter ID requirements. Now the Senate of Georgia, controlled by Republicans, has introduced a bill that will require voters to provide a photo ID when requesting and returning their absentee ballot, or their early voting ballot, or their and which it should be mandatory.
That's just why they put the road.
And they should have one signature verification standard, not two. So that happens down in Georgia. Then you have in Arizona, they've introduced a bill in that state legislature that would repeal Arizona's permanent early voting list. Voters on the list automatically receiving mail-in ballots for each primary and general election. Separate bill would remove people from the list who failed to vote in primary and general elections in 2 straight cycles. All right, they also need to add we have to have photo ID, voter ID everywhere. And then in Pennsylvania, lawmakers they're now pushing forward a bill to repeal their 2019 no-excuse absentee voting law. That's the one that was in direct violation of the Pennsylvania state Constitution, and there's a process of changing the Constitution, which is a lot more difficult than a bunch of legislators making laws. And that's why it was, in my view, unconstitutional, but nobody wanted to hear that case at the level it needed to be heard at. So we'll watch all of these. And, you know, Tom Wolf would likely veto any election integrity bill. And they have an open gubernatorial and Senate contest next year. It's going to be a lot of interesting races come next year. So that's happening. Now, Iran is saber-rattling as they launched a new rocket showing advances in potential missile technology. And we've got Joe Biden showing more struggles cognitively. I mean, it's getting bad, and I know that people in the mob don't like when I say weak, frail, and cognitively struggling, but I'll let you decide, as we always do, next. Listen, if you own a timeshare and you felt like booking yours was difficult,
you've got a 4-year degree, so I think you can even do better than that, or go into a management position. And then what you're going to have to start doing is figuring out ways to market yourself, put yourself out there where you can take pictures, whether that's on Instagram or YouTube or get next to some folks' weddings or whatever the thing is in Philadelphia that will even allow you right now to go take photos and start getting your work out there. But just to sit at home and wait to be able to work full-time as a photographer from the floor up, man, that's a tall ask. So you got to get some income coming in quick.
Yeah, the photography gig needs to start as a side hustle to your main gig, and your main gig is making money to eat.
That's right. And pay those that 60 grand off
so that you can be a side hustle on your photography business, so that you can grow it enough that you quit the main gig.
That's right. And our friend Ken Coleman in this proximity principle book, here's the thing: you're going to go work, let's say Home Depot, you'll get a job there. Every person that you hear that's got a wedding, you're going to be on their front door with a card. You're going to be talking to them in the aisles. Anybody who's got a kid who's about to be born, anybody who's got graduations, you're going to be hitting those folks up, and you're going to slowly build your circle that way.
Or start working for a wedding planner, setting up chairs.
Yep.
And oh, by the way, you're going to be around weddings. And then you might get to take some pictures at a wedding. Who knows?
Oh, there will be a day when that wedding photographer doesn't show up. It's going to be too cold or too hot or too snowy, and you're going to have your gear ready to rock and roll, and you're going to save the day. And
their car broke down as Superman as they're setting up chairs.
Oh, that's exactly right.
Clark Kent.
That's exactly right.
You get in proximity. That's what Ken talks about.
Yeah.
So we're going to send you a copy of Ken's book, The Proximity Principle, but you need to get in the proximity of people who need photography, even if you're setting up the chairs. And get in there and just bust it, man. And John's right. The first thing you got to do is get the wolf away from your door, because he's howling. I heard him on the phone. And we got to get him away. You got to get the dadgum bills paid and get the pressure off and the stress off of you. And that's just the primary reason for making an income is existence.
Right.
The secondary reason for making an income is self-actualization and doing what we love. And so we don't sacrifice existence in order to self-actualize. It's backwards. That's not how that works. So you hang on. Kelly will pick up. We'll get you a copy of Ken Coleman's book, The Proximity Principle, and get out there, and John's right, and stir it up, man. Stir it up. Leanne's in Charleston, West Virginia. Hey, Leanne, how are you?
Hey, Dave, I'm fine. How are you?
Better than I deserve. What's up?
Well, I grew up listening to your show. My parents were avid listeners. They completed every step of your plan, and then they started me and my husband out on it when we first got married.
Wow.
And now we've been married, 13 years, and our only debt is the remaining $100,000 on our mortgage.
Good.
Yeah, back in September, my parents both passed away in a plane crash.
Oh, wow.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. We've inherited $360,000 just from the life insurance and the estate, and then another $300,000 from my dad's 401k. I really want to honor my parents and how I manage the inheritance.
Good for you.
And so thank you. So here's my question. We would like to move into a bigger space, but how do we decide how much house we can afford in a situation like this? Our idea has been to buy a new home with cash and then sell off the current one and use that money to pay off the remaining mortgage. But I don't really...
Hey, what is your current home worth?
I don't really know. We got it for $145. I think it's worth more now with the market going up.
What do you think it's worth today? What are you going to sell it for?
Oh, I think at least $160.
Okay, and what are you talking about
more.
moving to? What kind of price range home are you moving into?
Well, that's what we're not really sure about. We've been looking
Well, what are you thinking about?
250, but also maybe
Not $1,250,000, but 250.
Yeah, I mean, entertaining the idea of 350, but I feel like that's overkill, and obviously
What's your household
we
income?
wouldn't have to offer. My husband's a pastor, and he makes about $57,000 a year.
And you're staying home mom.
But yeah.
teaspoon and take a little munch.
So I am surprised though, because we never buy even our pepper in big containers. Like I see the cooking shows and the restaurants will have black pepper in a quart size.
Right.
And it's like, we use a fair amount of pepper, but that's a lot. Or cumin, they'll buy, a quart size of cumin. But I looked one day what those cost. Oh my goodness. No.
Or they're cheap.
You believe how cheap they are compared to, spices are fairly expensive. Of course, the lifetime supply of,
there's that factory over on the right.
I think after a couple of years, you're really supposed to.
Somebody told me recently that pepper isn't really a great thing to ingest because it's one of the few things that does not break down. And I was like, does it break down?
Well, there's things that you ingest and don't break down.
Then they said, well, have you ever heard about filling a hole in a radiator by dumping pepper in it? I was like, yeah, I've heard of that. Doesn't sound like a great thing to pour down my gullet. We're thinking about that.
You have an export board.
Well, absolutely. It just depends on whether
Power an engine with alcohol.
Your fact or fiction question of the day, Al Bauer. The camera. Single most used feature on a smartphone. Fact or fiction?
Well, mine's not. Feature wouldn't like email and all those other apps be a feature also? Or would, I was going to say, or is a feature just the things that stick out from the phone, if you will. The other things are applications to the phone. So, I'm going to go with true.
That's false.
And what is it, the phone?
Text.
Text. The little.
Text. Kid.
Yeah, all right.
Send me a text.
Yeah, or an email, or give me letters.
Or says people text more than they access the internet. I almost have a hard time believing
well,
that.
I don't, but I know young people do.
Yeah.
And I don't know how old you have to be a young person. If you text more
what do they mean by
than you
access the internet?
email, then you are a young person.
Okay.
So if you're 62,
Like
when
number
you
of
do that,
internet requests.
you're young.
You're still young.
Versus
young
number of
at heart, as they say
messages.
typically in our church.
Still just amazed at how the correction
Skeptical about that.
on the phone will be the darndest things to correct.
My webpage is visited,
Yeah, for
babe.
being a